right, welcome back to Scissors and Scrubs in September. It's a beautiful September night.
Beautiful.
And we have been having, as you have known in the past, some major technical issues.
A lot of them.
Major. So right now I am leaning in half, speaking into a microphone because it looks like we blew all of our equipment, but God forbid we make you listen to another repeat.
No. So you're going to have really bad sound quality now.
I do not want one fucking email that this doesn't sound right because we know it.
We're aware.
And we're going to buy new equipment this week.
Yes.
All right? Apparently we're going to get all new shit because I think we've blown everything.
It's awesome.
So we'll get microphones this time that literally are attached to my vocal cord so you can hear it better.
Yeah.
All right. So this week, over the summer, we started doing this new thing, dinner on the beach.
On Sunday nights.
On Sunday nights. Mm-hmm. And one of our friends was there, and her son has recently pledged a frat. So he just kind of was giving us a little lowdown of what they were doing.
Horrible, disgusting things.
Disgusting. A lot of vomit.
Lots of vomit.
So, well, I was like, Laura, that's an episode.
Yeah.
We've never covered hazing. We should start cover hazing. There is so much to cover in hazing that we couldn't possibly cover it in one episode. No. And I thought, like, oh, I'll tell this story and I'll tell that story. The one story I do cover was enough and disturbing enough for me that that's the only story I'm covering. Mm-hmm. So, what are you starting with?
Yeah, I'm giving you information about fraternities and hazing.
Greek life and how Greek life works.
Kind of. And like and then there's a guy that did this whole like, I don't know what you call it, like almost like an encyclopedia on hazing incidents going back to the 1800s. So I did like some old ones, just little snippets.
All right, so I'm going to let you take it over and start this off.
All right. So I got all my information from time.com and this Hank Newer database.
Oh, Hank.
All right, so fraternities in the U.S. date back to the early 1800s. They were formed by the young men of schools that were trying to like rebel against the really disciplined rules and schedules. You know, they wanted.
Isn't that what a fraternity does?
Yeah, they like rebelled against things at the schools. Fraternities were modeled after literary clubs, and they hosted debates and had members write essays. So it wasn't like a drinking thing.
Not any fraternity I know.
Well, it was 1800s.
Right.
But they did this stuff to like try to change the rules in the school. Like they thought if they banded together and they would try to do this. But they also provided a social atmosphere for people to drink and smoke. Fraternities soon became a staple of college campuses. In the 1900s, when more women started attending colleges, fraternities started controlling the social life of a campus. Ooh. So when women got there, they were like, yeah, we got to throw parties that they can go to.
Yeah.
Fraternity memberships declined around the Vietnam War, because people were drafted. And it spiked in the 1980s when the drinking age was raised from 18 to 21. Why? That was like the 70s-ish.
But why would it spike? Because they're all drinking at the
Because now they're all younger, so they can't get alcohol. Because at 18 before, they could get alcohol. Then when it went to 21, they needed a frat to get the alcohol. Because it made it the increased drinking age made it harder for underage kids on campus to obtain alcohol. So the frats would get the alcohol, you could go there. The first fraternity in North America to incorporate most of the elements of modern fraternities was Phi Beta Kappa, founded at the College of William and Mary in 1775.
Wow.
Yeah. The first national Greek secret letter social fraternity is considered to be the Kappa Alpha Society, established at Union College in Schenectady, New York, on November 26, 1825, by John Hart Hunter.
John Hart Hunter.
Mm-hmm. In 1867, a society called I.C. Cirrhosis. Cirrhosis?
Like of
it's
the liver?
Sorosis, so like a sorority, but it looks like cirrhosis.
Sorceress?
I don't know. I'm saying cirrhosis.
All right.
Was the nation's first women's fraternity at Monmouth. How do you say that? Monmouth? Monmouth? Monmouth?
Monmouth?
I don't know.
Monmouth.
College in Illinois. It would later be called Phi Beta Phi. No, Pi Beta Phi. These letters...
Not to be confused with Phi Beta Phi.
Right. The Greek...
Or Theta Beta Phi.
I can't.
Or Pi Pi Pi. Delta Delta Delta.
Some people are drawn to fraternities for like the lifelong friendships, like business connections, blah blah blah.
It is a brotherhood. I mean, I think if you're going for jobs and you're in the same frat,
if you were in the same frat as a guy hiring you, you're gonna get the job.
Guaranteed the job.
But a lot more joined for the parties and the campus social life. A 2007 study at URI, University of Rhode Island, found that frat members are more likely to drink heavily and have problems with alcohol use than non-fraternity peers. A 2008 national study by researchers at University of Maine showed that 73% of fraternity or sorority members experienced hazing. The supposed like purpose of hazing is to make them prove their loyalty. Like, are you loyal to this group? And
so if I eat your vomit, I'm loyal?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
If you do these stupid things...
Supposedly I should start eating your vomit. Okay. That's never going to happen.
If you do these stupid things, we can trust you. You're one of us. You really want to be a part of us. That's why they're doing this, not for no other reason. According to police reports and court documents, frat members have been forced to chug hard alcohol, endure sleep deprivation, and complete physical challenges while blindfolded, and those cause most of the problems. Mm-hmm. Hazing is now banned at every school. Like, literally, that's it. You can't do it.
It's banned everywhere. Like, the military doesn't do a lot of this stuff anymore. And
this also, right, hazing also happens outside of fraternities, but we're talking about frats. But an unintended consequence of banning it is that the members that know hazing is occurring, or people that know hazing is occurring, are less likely to report it because they're afraid of the consequence.
Yep.
So, like I said, this Hank Newer has compiled a database on U.S. hazing deaths. Part 1 of the database covers 1838 to 1999. There is a part 2.
That's comprehensive.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go through, like, I don't know, I have, like, a couple, like 10 or something, like, of, like, dating back to the 1800s, some in the 1900s,
I'd love to know what, like, hazing was in the 1800s.
It's
like,
all the same.
Don't wear your cravat.
No, it's literally all the same as it is now. It's, like, funny. John B. Groves died in 1838 from a hazing accident at Franklin Seminary in Kentucky in 1938. That is the first known death of a fraternity. It doesn't say what it is. In 1847, Jonathan D. Torrance died of illness after being drenched with ice water during a hazing custom called freshman visitation at Amherst College. So they soaked him in freezing cold water.
Amherst, Mass?
Yeah. He was outside.
The zoo.
No, that's UMass. This is Amherst College.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry.
They soaked him, freezing cold water, left him outside. He got, like, sick pneumonia and died.
What would you do?
Because they're idiots. In 1873 at Cornell University, Mortimer and Leggett,
I would have hazed him because his name is Mortimer,
died by falling into a gorge while on a blindfolded walk at night required by frat members. I can't tell you how many of these people have died. How many frat members I saw that died going over gorges or cliffs because they're out walking at night, drunk, blindfolded.
Imagine that one first step.
Yeah, no, I
can't. And you don't have
There's
anything
nothing under
on the
that
other
foot.
side.
In 1900 at MIT, Hugh C. Moore died of a snapped neck in a traditional fight between first and second year frat members. They would make them fight, and they broke his neck.
That's quite a fight.
Yep. In 1905, Stuart Pearson was struck by a train and killed after frat brothers left him on a bridge while attending Kenyon College in Ohio. There was also several of these. They left him on train tracks.
Like tied to it?
They don't know where they are, and they're drunk, and it's dark, and like they're staggering around, and the train hits them.
Oh, my God.
In 1923 at Northwestern, Louis Aubert was killed by a passing car while on the running board of a car as he looked for fellow freshmen abducted by sophomores. So a lot of the frats do these like abductions, like they kidnap them and then you have to find them and bring them back to the frat. There were also a gazillion of these incidents where these kids were in cars or they dropped them off in the middle of the street and they had to walk back, but they're drunk and it's late at night and they get killed by other cars.
Well, the running board, you're
standing on the the car.
Yeah, like the Al Capone days where you're sitting on the side and like the Keystone Cops, you know?
But there was a ton of other ones, like even up to like the 90s where they would drop them off in the middle of nowhere they couldn't. It was like literally in the middle of nowhere. They're trying to walk back, and a car would hit them because it's dark out.
How do you not know this is going to end badly? That's what shocks me. How do you not know that's going to be a problem?
These kids also have that mentality of like,
nothing's
that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
In 1928, Nolte McElroy died by electric shock when he was made to crawl through mattresses charged with electric current at the University of Texas. The dean said, quote, "It was simply a terrible accident that could not have been foreseen."
Oh, come on! You're charging mattresses with electricity.
You're making them crawl through a current.
Right.
I mean, you can foresee that we could be electrocuted.
Dumbasses.
Oh, my God.
And these are college people.
Yeah.
These are college people.
Mm-hmm. In 1940, at the University of Missouri, Hubert L. Spoke, Jr., died by smothering following a drinking session mandated by a fraternity chapter unrecognized by the university. He is likely to be the first of many pledges to die from alcohol intoxication during initiation. So he's the first one who died because of alcohol. Smothering, I don't know if he like vomited or, was unconscious with his face in something. Yeah. In 1945, at St. Louis University in Missouri, Robert G. Perry was coated with flammable substances.
Oh my God!
And had an electric shock applied to his skin.
Come on!
He burst
into flames.
He burned to death.
He burst into flames. They basically made an electric chair out of him.
Yeah. It did go to court. The jury returned a verdict of accidental death and recommended frats to not use flammable substances. You coated him with flammable substances
and
electrocuted him.
Imagine how painful.
No, that's awful. In 1959, Kappa Sigma pledge at USC died. He choked to death while trying to swallow a slab of liver at the request, quote unquote, of frat members. Do you remember this? When I was a kid, there was a movie, and I'm going to get into it, and I saw it for whatever reason. We weren't allowed to watch anything. Why I could see this, I don't know. It must have been on like TV, or I was at my grandmother's or something. But I remember this to this day, and I was a little kid when I saw it. And it's about the frat member, and he chokes to death. And they're standing in a line. And it was like I could never figure out what it was, because I probably didn't know what liver looked like. It was a slab of liver. So his last words were, quote, "I'm going to swallow this liver if it's the last thing I do."
Well, it did.
Yep. This death inspired the movie Fraternity Row. And that is the movie. I was like, oh my God, I have that in my head my whole life.
Never heard of it. I don't know because I love that morbid shit. But
why I ever saw it is beyond me, but I will never forget it. That's probably why I wasn't allowed to watch that stuff. Oh my God, here's that college again. At Monmouth. How do you say that? Does anybody know how you say
Mammoth.
that?
I'm going to go with Mammoth.
Mammoth College in New Jersey in 1974. William E. Flowers, age 19, suffocated after being entombed in a grave. Members had him dig on a beach that day.
I'm getting agitated.
I know.
That people are this fucking stupid.
Yep. In 1994, Michael Davis was beaten to death by frat members at Southeast Missouri State.
How did they not know that was...
It was like a hazing thing, beating.
Beat you to death?
And they beat him to death.
Okay.
In 1996, oh God, help me, Todd Cruikshank, age 18.
Cruikshank's like the cat in Harry Potter?
I don't know.
Okay.
Fell off the roof at a frat house while drinking. He died. The frat, I think it's Acacia, ACACIA, at University of New Hampshire, was on probation for hazing violations at the time of this kid's death. I said, there were so many incidents of pledges being dropped off or far from campus, blindfolded, exhausted because they keep them up for days, drunk, and then being hit by cars. It was like a constant theme. I can't tell you how many. Also many incidents of pledges running away from a prank. They're chasing them, or they think they need to run, or, they're trying to get away from them doing something, and they go off a cliff, go off a gorge, go into a lake. It was nonstop.
It's bad enough if you were to lose a child in an accident or something, but to lose it on something purposeful like this is horrifying. Yeah, it's fucking awful. Horrifying.
So those are the little, from the 1800 stories of this stupid shit that these kids do. So I think it's a safe bet that you should go over this with your children. Even though they don't believe us that this stuff happens.
Well, we're going to talk about a current story that happened in 2017.
Yeah.
In Penn State.
Yeah.
So Penn State, this article I got, it's called Death at Penn State Fraternity. It's out of the Atlantic, and it was written by Caitlin Flanagan. It's a great article. It gets into how Joe Panatone? Who's the guy that was the coach down there?
Oh, yeah.
All right, the coach of Penn State years,
yeah.
And he was real, like, gung-ho and this and that, even though hazing, like, he would criticize him for not hazing correctly. He'd be like, oh, geez, well, when I was in, it was worse. It was worse this way. You haze this way. So you got to realize, like, that is the mentality at Penn State to begin with. Mm-hmm. And like you said, even though hazing's supposed to be illegal and all that, these kids are still doing it, but they're not reporting any kind of problems because they're afraid they're going to get reported for drinking and hazing and get in trouble. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, as of today, Penn State has 51 fraternities.
Jesus.
Yep. That's just the fraternities. This isn't sorority. Just
that's crazy.
2 are currently inactive. Beta Theta Phi and Kappa Delta Rho
are inactive.
Mm-hmm. Today we're going to talk about, it's not Phi, excuse me, it's Pi.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did the same thing.
Phi. We're going to talk about Beta Theta Pi. Beta Theta Pi has been on the campus of Penn State for almost as long as Penn State itself.
Wow.
The frat house, you guys see this fucking frat house. It's like a brick mansion. Fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure the inside is disgusting.
Yeah, it's nothing like Animal House on the outside, I can tell you that. It fell into disrepair, and in 2004, Donald Abbey, a Penn State alumnus, what did I write? Oh, he was an alumnus from 1970. I have 2 1970. Like, what number is that? He was an alumnus from 1970, and today he is a billionaire. So he's got $1 million. He goes to the frat house. He's like, what the fuck happened at this frat house? This is not the frat house. I remember he called it repulsive, and he spent $8.5 million on renovations of this frat house.
For teenagers to live in and drink in.
Well, because he's an idiot. Mm-hmm. He doesn't remember what teenage boys do to a house. Mm-hmm. It would be the most expensive renovation of a frat house in American history.
Way to go.
Before I continue, I want to let you know, most of this, what I'm telling you, is directly quoted from this article. Caitlin, I'm giving you due props that my podcast is based on your article almost 100%. So I'm not going to keep saying quote, 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 because that's just going to get ridiculous. So just know it's mainly from her article. Okay. So the bathrooms had heated floors. What? The kitchens have copper ceilings.
What?
Tables were carved from mahogany from Colombia.
Oh my God.
And fingerprint scanners to open the doors.
Wow.
So in about 2017, the renovations are done, and immediately the fucking house is trashed.
Of course.
So he gets pissed, and he puts cameras through the whole house.
Oh, that's why there's cameras. Because I was like, why would you ever have put a camera in a frat house? Okay.
He puts cameras through the whole house to see who's destroying the house. Now, every frat member knows these cameras are there. They are well known. Mm-hmm. It doesn't fucking stop them from doing anything, okay? Fraternity life has had its problems. In 2009, Joseph Dado, a freshman at Penn State, got so drunk at a frat party he fell off a 15-foot stairway to his death. 1997, 5 college freshmen show up to health services with serious injuries that were caused, quote, something that someone else was doing to them. Nothing is done to the frat, and that they're pledging because they're refusing to testify against this against this frat and say anything bad. 2015, Kappa Delta Rho member James Vivenzio reported that the frat had a secret Facebook page where members were posting naked pics of female students along with videos of their sexual assaults to these women.
Lovely.
He also describes... all right, this is tough for me because I'm bent over in fucking half. Can't use my hands. This is hazing right now. I'm being hazed by Mike. I'm being hazed.
This is all a ploy.
Yes, he just wanted me to be tortured. Mm-hmm. All right, so he also describes the hazing that he endured. He was being force-fed buckets of liquor mixed with urine, vomit, hot sauce, and, quote, other fluids.
Oh!
You know they splooged
yeah,
in it.
No, I know
fucking know they splooged
in it. Oh, my God.
Drinking until you vomited. Being burned with cigarettes.
Well, you wouldn't have to drink long if that's what you're drinking.
No. I could never do anything. I would never. How's that? I would treat myself better than this. Vivenzio went to the council and nothing was done. He had to go to the police and is suing Penn State. After the police was involved, the frat was suspended for 3 years. 2013, Marquis Brahim, a freshman at Penn State, was pledging Phi Sigma Kappa. He claims he was forced to chug bottles of Listerine, swallow live fish. He was burned with candle wax. He was locked in a room with other pledges with alcohol in a bucket to catch the vomit. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Laura? Mm-hmm. And being forced to kill and skin animals. He reached out to an RA who told him, it'll get worse, and laughed. It's going to get a lot worse. Then he made it through the hazing, but then he was being forced to haze other students. Mm-hmm. It broke him. He went home for spring break. He had lunch with his mom, left the table, and jumped from the top of the building they were in. Killed himself. Couldn't take doing this to somebody. He felt
guilty.
He felt terrible. Felt terrible. I'm sure they're being pressured to make sure they do it as well. So, Penn State suspended Phi Sigma Kappa for 6 years. The suspensions all follow the same pattern. The fraternity enters a time of reflection, and they appoint a blue ribbon panel to investigate what's fucking going on. And it shuts down the chapter for a period of time, and the house goes empty. It will then recolonize with a new crew that they are briefed on the rules, they're briefed on everything that's got to be done, and they open the chapter again. Now, because you have brand new people that for the first 3 or 4 years until they graduate, no problems. Mm-hmm. Now the next class, and they fucking forget the rules, and the same thing happens all over again. So, we're going to talk about Tim Piazza. Okay. Poor Tim Piazza. Same age as my son. Tim Piazza is a 19-year-old college sophomore who is pledging Beta Theta Pi. He has survived the whole grueling hazing process, and these hazing processes are like months. They're not like 1 week.
It's like a semester.
Right. Yeah. It's like 11 weeks. It's fucking ridiculous. So he's gone through the whole process. He is being accepted into the frat on February 2nd, and they have the acceptance party, the last night of all this shit. He is told to show up at 9:07. He is dressed up for the special night in his good jacket, shirt, tie, and his last text to his girlfriend is, they're going to get me so fucked up. So he arrives, Beta Theta Phi, Pi, at 9:07. And there are other 14 pledges there. They're each lined up, right hand on right shoulder, on the pledge in front of them. They are taken into the living room for about an hour, and after about an hour, the gauntlet begins. Mm-hmm. So there is also a thing they're calling the Shep test, that the president of this fraternity, Greek life, like it's a business also. So he's like corporate, for lack of a better word. He's like, oh, they don't do the he's being interviewed by this woman. He's like, they don't do the Shep test anymore. She's like, yeah, they do. He's like, no, they don't. She's like, did you read the court documents? Because it's right there in the tests. The kids are saying, we're waiting for the Shep test to begin. He's like, they're still doing the Shep. She's like, you never read the court documents. Yeah. So this is part of that Shep test. Right. So the gauntlet is 18 drinks, 82 minutes.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's not even an hour and a half.
18 drinks. 82 minutes. These kids have to suck them down. So at 10:40, about an hour after the gauntlet has started, the pledges, they're being walked around while they're doing this. They come back into the room, and you can see Tim is being escorted by a fellow pledge. Obviously, so this is all on tape. The stuff I'm going to go through is taken directly from this tape throughout the whole night. These tapes have been reviewed by forensic pathologists and lawyers, and as you can imagine, many people have done this. So a forensic pathologist reviewing the tape, looks at Tim and says, at this point in time, he is in a stupor from the amount of alcohol he has consumed. He sits on the couch and he doesn't want to get up. A fellow brother stands him up and walks him around and then places him back on the couch. Tim stands up. So he's like out of it. He's fucking gone. He stands up and he heads for the front door. You know, the front door that have the fingerprint scanners on it? Can't open it. And he's really, really very drunk. And the article goes in to be like, and it's just, she's got a little flair for the drama, like, this could have been the move that would have saved his life. And she's probably right. Had he gotten out the front fucking door and either vomited or passed out on the lawn, they probably would have left him there. So he can't get out the front door, so he opens the next door, which is the basement door. And he opens it, and he goes head first down the entire flight of stairs, which I believe is about, I'm not 15 feet, but it's like 15 or 16 stairs. He goes head first. Luke Visor, one of the brothers, is seen pointing to the stairs like, fuck, he just went down the stairs. Another brother, Greg Rizzo, hears the fall and he goes to the stairs. He reports to police that Tim was head down, so he is face down at the bottom of the stairs and his legs are still up the stairs. Oh. All right. So he sends a group text to the brothers that Tim Piazza might actually be a problem. He fell 15 feet down a flight of stairs head first. We're going to need help. Rizzo was also noted at that time as wanting to call an ambulance, but no one is never called. 4 of the brothers carried Tim back up the stairs, and at this point now his shirt is almost up over his head. And you can see on his left upper abdomen, he has a huge purple bruise. Ooh. Immediately has this huge purple bruise. They put him on the couch and they're starting to do sternal rubs on him. No response. They throw beer in his face. No response. They throw a shoe at him. No response. They lift his arms up. Boom. Falls back down. No response. So everything they're doing to rouse him is proving he's unconscious. Right. He's fucking unconscious. Okay? So a brother, Ryan Foster, rolls Tim onto his side. He almost dumps him on the floor, catches him, rolls him on his side. In case he vomits. Mm-hmm. Jonah Newman, another brother, straps books in a backpack to his back to keep him from rolling back so he won't vomit. Mm-hmm. And then 2 other brothers stop, at this point, Tim's legs are kind of seizing. So the 2 brothers are sitting on the legs to keep that from happening.
Oh my God.
They don't like what it's doing.
Well, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah. So now we're 2 hours into the ordeal, and Cordell Davis, he is the only black fraternity member. He enters the shot. And Cordell has been in his own pledge class. He has scars on his face from when he did the same thing. Not down a flight of stairs, but smashed it. He's like, I woke up in the morning and my phone was covered in blood. I was covered. He has no idea what happened. All right. So you see him. He walks over to the couch to see Tim, and you can tell the brothers are telling him what has happened. He's agitated and he's wildly on the tape, and he's basically like, what the fuck? You got to call the police. He tells the police he was concerned for Tim, and he told the brothers he needed help, that they needed to call 911. Jonah Newman is seen shoving Cordell into the wall and telling Cordell to leave. We got this, shut up, blah, blah, blah. So Cordell leaves, and he goes to find the vice president of the chapter, who is Ed Gilmartin. He tells him, what is happening. Ed Gilmartin's like, they're EMTs. They take classes in kinesiology. They're majors in kinesiology. They know what they're doing. Don't worry about it. We got this. And it doesn't really get into what Tim does. This Cordell does afterwards, but he was the only person trying to get this kid any kind of help when he could still get help. So you see, when Cordell leaves to go get the VP after he's been pushed into the wall, Tim is thrashing wildly on the couch and he's making weird movements. Another brother, Daniel Casway, comes in, looks at Tim, slaps him in the face 3 times. No response. The other brothers, 2 other brothers, are wrestling near Tim. Because, this guy's dying on the couch, but we're going to wrestle. Huh. They land on him. Oh my God. When they land on him, now he starts to vomit and twitch.
Oh my God.
Joseph Eames becomes, quote, frustrated with Tim, and with an open hand starts to slap him on the bruise in the abdomen.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The forensic pathologist will later testify that Tim's spleen had been shattered.
Oh, yeah.
Shattered in the autopsy. And still, after vomiting, Tim's still not conscious. 45 minutes later, Tim rolls onto the floor. Backpack and all. Boom. Face first onto the floor. Still with the backpack and book strapped to him, he rolls around and he's trying to stand up. Somehow he gets the backpack off and he stands up, backwards, falls, slams his head off the hardwood floor. All right, so he's from a full standing position, and Tim is not a tiny guy. He's playing football for Penn State, fucking 6 feet tall, whoof, like a sack of potatoes. He goes backwards. So at this point, a brother shakes him, gets no response, fuck it, leaves. So that's probably about 11 o'clock at night. Now it is 3:46 a.m. and Tim is in the fetal position on the floor. Okay, so that's hours of him just there. At 3:49, Tim wakes up. Gets up on his knees. He's cradling his head in his hands. He falls again onto the hardwood floor. An hour later, he stands up and staggers to the front door and again falls, and this time he falls headfirst into the wrought iron railing.
Oh, Jesus.
That is, I don't know where this railing is, but into a wrought iron railing. He stands again, and again he falls headfirst onto the floor. At 5:08,
oh my God,
almost 2 hours later, Tim is on his hands and knees, head buried in his hands. Must have fallen back again, because now it jumps to 7 a.m. Another pledge wanders into the room Tim is in. Tim is on the couch moaning. The pledge watches Tim roll off to the couch and onto the floor, get up on his hands and knees and cradle his head, and the pledge says, as if he had a really bad headache. So what does this kid do?
Leaves him?
He pulls out his phone.
Oh, good.
Snapchats it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sends it and takes it and leaves the house. Don't call an ambulance. No. Tim is then seen standing and staggering over to the basement steps, and he disappears from view. All right, sorry about that. I somehow lost the rest of my paper. Okay, so 7 o'clock, the kid Snapchats, sends it. Like, that just...
I know.
That just makes me so angry. I can't even begin to just even say, like, every time I see TV and it's a fucking fight or something bad happening,
immediately the phone.
Some moron standing there with their phone instead of helping.
Right.
I just don't know what kind of world we live in anymore. Okay. So now the house begins to stir, and it's probably about 10 o'clock. A brother named Kyle Pesci, he arrives and he asks Daniel Erickson, what happened to them? Like, what happened to the kid who fell down the stairs? And they're like, they come across Tim's shoes and they realize, oh, this kid's still in the house somewhere. So they look for him, and they find him collapsed behind one of the bars in the basement. He's lying on his back and with his arms tight at his side and his hands in fists.
Oh, no.
So you know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. His face is bloody, and his breathing is labored. His eyes are half open. His skin is cold, and he is white. Absolutely white. Mm-hmm. 3 men carry him upstairs and put him on the couch.
God love this couch.
Does anybody call 911 yet? No, they don't.
No.
The fraternity brothers, they appear with garbage bags, and they start cleaning up the mess before they do anything. They prop Tim on the couch, and they dress him.
What?
But his limbs are so stiff that they can't do it. Somebody wipes the blood off his face, and somebody else is trying to pry his hands open. We'll go over why he's doing what he's doing later, but they can't do it. So when they searched the phones afterwards, instead of calling 911, somebody is searching cold extremities and drunk person. Somebody else is Googling binge drinking, alcohol, bruising or discoloration, cold feet and cold hands. Nobody's calling fucking 911 yet. So at 10:48, finally, 911 is called. They realize, like, there's literally nothing else to do, and he is technically still alive. Mm-hmm. So he is taken from the house. His parents are notified he's going to the hospital. And he is taken to I forgot what hospital he was taken to. The parents get, I think, a couple hours with him, and he is pronounced dead at, like, it's like 1:30 in the afternoon. Sorry, again, I lost that piece of paper. He's pronounced dead. The college puts the flag at half-mast for a couple of days. The Facebook page is like, oh, poor Tim, sorry, you know, the Facebook page of Beta Theta Pi National Organization reports that Tim Piazza, a sophomore at Penn State who had recently accepted an invitation to join the fraternity, has passed due to injuries sustained from an accidental fall in the chapter house. That's their official statement. Yeah. The fraternity administrative... I have not had one drink. The fraternity administrative offices in Oxford, Ohio... their flags fly half-mast for 8 days.
That's good.
The representatives of the 8 young men at Tim's same age, they're all Tim's same age. They all founded the fraternity. The Facebook post will encourage collegiate members around the country to conduct Beta's official burial services on that Friday evening from 4 to 8. And with those final rituals of the fraternity, his 28-hour membership in Beta Theta Pi comes to an end.
My God.
Right. So, Laura, what do you think happens to these young men?
I'm going to say nothing.
You are correct.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. So, let's see. You're going to have to be a little patient here with me because my notes got all fucked up. All right. Where are the kids that get... There was a list of kids I had. 28 of the brothers are eventually dragged in to court.
Good.
For involuntary manslaughter, assault, like a variety of charges. 3 of them were facing a couple of years in jail, all of them community service, all of them fines. The DA or the judge involved, I think it was the appellate judge. I have this all written down. The judge involved brings all of their charges down. Then they see the video. Oh. The DA reinstitute charges. More kids are dragged in. They again reduce the charges. Nobody sees jail time. Some of them did community service. A lot of them are fighting it because they're felony charges.
Yeah.
You know, but they kill a kid, neglect him, nothing is done. The family did settle monetarily with Penn State for money and for changes. And I believe they still have a civil suit going with the fraternity itself.
Good. Because that guy had $8 million to redo the house.
When they did the autopsy on Tim, as I told you, his spleen was shattered. Mm-hmm. You rupture your spleen. That's the bruising on the abdomen. For us, it's a true emergent case. Because the spleen cannot be fixed. And you have a lot of blood that goes through the spleen.
It filters all your blood.
It filters all your blood, so you will hemorrhage. And he, I think, ultimately died from bleeding to death. Mm-hmm. He also had multiple skull fractures.
Oh, yeah.
And when you can't open your fists, that's the sign of a major brain injury. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll see if people are seizing or whatever, they clench and they pronate and they do weird things with their body because their brain's fucking out of control. If they had called an ambulance when this poor kid went down the stairs the very first time, they probably would have saved his life. Mm-hmm. He would have gone back. He'd probably graduated college and told about that crazy night that he had at the Beta Theta Pi. Yeah. I was so drunk, they got me all fucked up. But instead, these kids, more concerned that the college was going to come down on them and shut the chapter down, or they were going to get in trouble for drinking, instead of doing what they should have done and what their common sense told them they should have done, they were trying to cover their asses. And they let somebody die because of it. And I think if you look back at all of these incidents, that's exactly why these kids are dying, because and they're covering it up and they don't want it to know. I can't imagine if those parents had to, like, if they didn't go to trial, all these people pled out. Imagine if they had to sit and watch that video.
I bet they saw it.
It does say that they walked out when the video was being shown.
Because I wouldn't want to see it.
I couldn't see my son knowing I couldn't help him.
Incapacitated, dying.
Right, and nothing I could do to help him. And nobody's helping him.
Even if there was someone that did help him, but he still died, at least you could be like, okay, you're going to watch him lay there with no help.
And the one kid who does try to help him, they fucking throw him against the wall and say, get the hell out of here. Yeah. Like, I was horrified by the story. I had not heard it. I know you had heard it. Yeah. I had never heard it. Or if I did, it didn't really register with me. Horrified. Mm-hmm. Absolutely fucking horrified. I don't get it.
No.
You know, the story that Kid was telling us of the eating of other people's vomits and all this stupid shit. I don't understand how that shows loyalty. I don't understand how me eating your vomit, which is a bio-fucking hazard. Right. I don't get it.
It doesn't. It's not. It's a humiliation.
That's all it is. Then it's like Lord of the Flies. Yeah. I was humiliated. So now I'm going to humiliate you. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be the kid in charge of what's going to happen for the hazing weeks, because if something happens, if somebody dies, you're fucked. Yeah. And that's your whole life.
Right. And you know what? Okay, nothing happened to these kids, apparently.
No.
But I don't know. Can you live with that for the rest of your life?
Someday they're going to have children. Right. Are you going to want somebody treating your kid like that?
Could you live with that every day? I couldn't live with that every day. Your life is forever tainted.
We're not those people either.
No, that's true.
We're not those people either.
So I would educate your children about hazing and fraternities, and
many of you sent your kids off to college. Mm-hmm. So
talk to them. That's not okay.
No
reason to die for that.
No, none. It's stupid. So you can belong to this fucking filthy house.
Right.
I wouldn't live in that house.
Maybe get a job because of it. Maybe.
And if you're girls and you go to frat parties, don't drink the punch. Because you're going to end up on the Facebook page being assaulted. Yeah. There's weird shit in that punch. Stay away from the punch.
And stay with your friends.
Yes.
Do not let their friends go up to a room with somebody. Don't let your stay together. Yeah. Don't leave them there.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't investigate, but I didn't see anything on sororities doing this. I know they haze as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's to the extent the boys are doing.
Right.
It might be interesting to look into that, so I'm not going to say they don't. I just haven't. I didn't come across it, and it's always a frat. Yeah. It's always a frat. Yeah. So, yay, welcome back to school. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get some new equipment. We'll sound better the next time.
Hopefully.
Be patient with us, okay? Thank you.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.